Science, technology, and society is an interdisciplinary field that studies the conditions under which the production, distribution, and utilization of scientific knowledge and technological systems occur. The consequences of these activities upon different groups of people. The essence of how science and technology contributes to society is the creation of new knowledge and then utilization of that knowledge to boost the prosperity of human lives and to solve the various issues facing society.
Science is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of explanations and predictions about the nature and the universe, and technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. The Philippines pre-colonial period was filled with indigenous people engaged in healthy trade with various culture and economies in the region and some foreign traders. Philippines was colonized by the Spaniard during the Spanish colonial period, and it gave contribution to the growth of science and technology in our country. Early Filipino already had their own culture and traditions before it was colonized. Their own system of beliefs and indigenous knowledge helped them to thrive and survive their life and communities. The scientific knowledge of Filipino people before the pre-Spanish times were incorporated already to their way of life, such as planting their crops that provide them food, taking care of animals to help them in their daily activities, and for the production of food. That's all. Thank you.
Early indigenous science were used by Filipino in preparing the soil for agricultural purposes, interpreting movements of heavenly bodies to predict seasons, and documenting the uses of medical plants. They also developed the different technologies that they can use in everyday life for hunting, cooking, planting, and fishing. And as you see in this picture, they use the carabao to flatten the plant and land. And they also have different Philippine blades that they use not only for hunting, but to protect themselves from their enemies during the war or tribal conflicts. And this is an example of musical instrument that one of the technologies they developed, which is still known at the present time.
The Philippines' colonialism aided with the development of science and technology in the archipelago. The Spaniards established scientific institutions and implemented formal schooling. During the Philippines' early years of Spanish control, reading, writing, religion, arithmetic, and music were all taught at parish schools. The natives were also taught sanitation and more advanced agricultural methods, and then the Spaniards later built colleges and institutions throughout the archipelago, including the University of Santo Tomas. During the Spanish era, especially in the later years, the study of medicine was prioritized in the Philippines. Also, in terms of trade, the Philippines is one of the centers of global trade in Southeast Asia.
My, my name is General Silosano. My topic is Development in Science and Technology during the American Regime. Science during the American period was included agriculture, food processing, forestry, medicine, and pharmacy. Not much focus was given development of industrial technology due to free trade policy with the United States, with the nurtured an economy geared towards agriculture and trade. In the 1946, the Brunei of Science was replaced by the Institution of Science. In a report by the U.S. Economy Survey to the Philippines in 1950, there is a lack of basic information which were necessities to the country's industry, lack of support of experimental work and minimal budget for scientific research, and the law of salary of scientific employed by the government. And the nine and the 1958 during the reign of President Carlos P. Garcia, the Philippines Congress passed by the Science Act of 1958, which established by the National Science Development.
Hello everyone, my name is Marietta Sibantige from BSBA Marketing 2. My content is External influence. What is meaning external influence? External influence are factors that a business may have little or no control over. Such factors include economic, financial, geographical, social, legal, political, institution, technological, competitive situation, and market influence. And like in the history of science in other countries, it is always shaped by human and social activity in external influence. What other external influence factor called effects that use of new technologies? These factors include the activities of customer, competitor, and supplier, labor market, legal regulator, competitive economics, condition, and the supply of technological and other types of knowledge of value to innovation. Why external influence important? The external influence environment factor are important because they can use direct and indirect effects on business operation, personnel, and revenue. The external environment of science and technology may have a significant impact on the lives of the people and in the environment of the Philippine Association.
Here, external influence. So, external influence is the past relationship between the foreign colonizer. So, one of the example is economic system. Economic system, in the term of trading industry, the system of economic was influenced by the foreign. And here are the three factors of external influence. First, foreign colonizer. Second, international foreign demand. Okay. International economic demands. And the second is trading by the foreigners. Thanks.
Can you imagine how our country developed from ancient times to now? First, science and technologies impact to our transportation. Back then, our ancestors used to walk in order to reach their destination. Then people learned how to ride horses to go from one place to another. But now we have different vehicles to ride on, not just on land, but also through air and water, such as airplane and boats. Another one, means of communication. In early times, Filipinos used to have messenger, or they used letters to send for them to contact someone from different places. But now, through the help of science and technology, communication become a lot easier. Why? Because contacting somebody across the world can happen in just few clicks. Science and technology changed the world, including the Philippines. It made our life easier, and the development becomes spontaneous because of it. Time's up. That's all I have for today. I hope you learned something. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. My name is Henry M. Habon Jr. from BSBA MKT. This video is all about World War II. Japan lands and a surprise attack on the Philippines on December 8, 1941. Just 10 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Philippines defense continued until the final surrender of United States Philippines Force of the Bataan Peninsula in April 1941, 1942, and on corridor in May. World War II to develop of our country, the Philippines has suffered great loss of life, tremendous physical destruction by the time war was over. An estimated 1 million people has been killed, a large proportion during the final months of the war, and Manila was extensively damaged. Repetition money from Japan. The Civil Liberties Act of 1988, 15 of USCA 1981 amounted to an apology from USA governments for the wartime internment of Japan Americans. The act established a 1.25 billion trash pound for paying reputation. Development of science technology in the Philippines. The colonization of the Philippines contribute to growth the science and technology in archipelago. The Spanish introduced formal education and found scientific institution. Later, the Spanish established college and university in archipelago, include the University of Santo Tomas. Thank you, ma'am. And
We have two types of development of science and technology in the Philippines, which is internal influences and external influences. In internal influences, there are survival, culture, and economic activities. And then external influences, there are foreign colonizer, trade with foreign countries, and international economic demands. Describe how these internal influences affect the development of science and technology in the Philippines, which is survival, culture, and economic activities in the Philippines. The early Filipinos already have their own culture and traditions that give their lives and communities organized for many years. Moreover, when science and technology had arrived and introduced in the Philippines, it played a crucial role in the way of life of early Filipinos. Science had helped them gain knowledge in terms of agricultural purposes, food production, medicinal uses of plants, and discovery of heavenly bodies. And while technology is used for constructions, irrigations, and development of tools that can be used for their everyday life, and science and technology allowed early Filipinos not just to live in convenient way of life by boosting prosperity, also with the creation of new knowledge and awareness to be able to solve various issues in societies. How do internal influences of society affect the development of society and technology? So, science and technology are the products of the Western culture, but this does not mean that other non-Western societies do not have science and technology. It may be verbal science that is not recorded in books, which is transmitted from elders to youngsters. For example po, most of Western medicines originate from the cultures of Amazonian people. Yes, so that's my blog about the internal influences in the development of science and technology. Thank you and God bless.
Mother tongues develop a child's personal and cultural identity. Using mother tongue helps a child develop their critical thinking and literacy skills. Research shows that the children learning in mother tongue adapt a better understanding to the curriculum. Children learn to speak by listening and imitating the language spoken around them. By listening to recordings of the literature as well as listening to other music, children observe the language of music just as they observe the sounds of their mother tongue.
In terms of local food security, the government should try to make sure that people will not go hungry. And some national government, and we can say that LGU, offer some help like money to support the buyers, support the farmers, or both. And this is their way to improve the food security. With or without the support from our local government, there are many ways people can improve the local food security, like planting a small garden to organize the farmers market.
Hi guys, my name is Jamal B. Ancheta from BSBA Marketing 2G. In this video, I'm gonna share you what is the NCRP's policies goals. Okay, the National Council on radiation protection and measurements or NCRP. 6. To formulate and widely disseminate information, guidance, and recommendation on radiation protection and measurements which represent the consensus of leading scientific thinking.
Medical Chemical Pharmaceutical Science. So now, let us know what is medical chemical pharmaceutical science. Chemists design and develop new drugs, pharmaceutical and materials and device cleaner, more efficient industrial process to produce them. DCUS, Chemical and Pharmaceutical Science, course cultivates your chemistry knowledge and skills through applied method. So now let us know what is the difference between pharmaceutical science and medical chemistry. The key difference between medical chemistry and pharmaceutical chemistry is that medical chemistry deals with the designing, optimization, and development of new chemical compounds to use them as drugs, whereas pharmaceutical chemistry deals with the study of drugs and their development. So what is the importance of medicinal chemistry in pharmaceutical field? Medicinal chemistry provides pharmacy students with a true understanding of drug mechanism of action, structure-activity relationships or SAR, and acid-base and physicochemical properties and absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity or ADMET profiles.
Hi everyone, my name is Galimeda Amanya, BSBA Marketing 2G. So, let's start. My topic is all about physics, engineering, and industrial research in Earth and space, sciences, and mathematics. So, let's start. Number 1 is emphasizing degree, license, and employment opportunities according to a new career builder survey. 27% of hiring manager and human resources professional admit their educational requirements for employment have increased over the last 5 years. In fact, 30% are hiring more workers with a college degree for positions that used to go high school graduates. Thus figure rise to 46% and 43% respectively in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics industries. So what does this trend mean for job seeker and employment? Number 2, outright grant for monitoring. These grants are designed for mid-career faculty of color who have been participants in the past WOBA Center workshop of colloquies and are intended to support and development of multi-year relationship with a small group of colleges. Monitorize faculty face particular challenges and pressure and can benefit from network of peer-to-peer monitoring. Peer monitoring conversation can surface where ways to meet the demands of mid-career teaching and administrative responsibilities. They can also provide faculty of color with strategies not only to discern challenges and pressure but to navigate them as well. Number 3, review of RA or Republic Act 9184. 9184 entitled an act providing for the modernization, standardization, and regulation of the procurement activities of the government and for other purposes, otherwise known as the Government Procurement Reform Act. An act providing for the modernization, standardization, and regulation of the procurement activities of the government and for other purposes. Harnessing science and technology as an independent mover of development. Scientists, innovators, and technologists will meet with representatives from government, civil society, the private sector, and other expert at the first multi-stakeholder for technology and innovation for the Sustainable Development Goal or SEI Forum from 6 to 7 June 2016 to or June 6 to 7, 2016 to explore how to realize the potential of science, technology, and innovation to achieve the SDGs. That's all and thank you.
Hi ma'am, my name is Desiree M. Vargas and I'm reporting it's all about World War II. World War II, which broke out 2 decades later and would prove even more devastating, rising to power in an unstable economy and politics in Germany. Adolf Hitler, leader of the Nazi Party, rearmed the country and he signed strategic agreements with Italy and Japan to advance his ambitions of dominations in world. Damage of World War II. Large amount of physical capital were destroyed through 6 years of ground battles and bombing. Preparation money from Japan. International total Japan's government agreed to make a payment of $6.67 million to the International Red Cross as compensation to former prisoners of World War.
So next we will discuss the Filipino scientists that have made significant contributions to Philippine science. They are famous in abroad, especially in different science disciplines such as agriculture, mathematics, physics, medicine, marine science, chemistry, engineering, and biology. The first one that I will mention is Mr. Ramon Cabanas Barba. He is a well-known Filipino scientist, particularly among agricultural production, inclined people in the Philippines for his contributions to mango industry improvements. He had previously conducted a study on ethereal and potassium nitrate and planned to undertake a study on mango trees to see how effective these fertilizers were. The mango business in the Philippines has grown since the invention of Mr. Ramon Barba's method for producing mango plants to flower, and other fruit trees have also benefited from this method. Mr. Barba was proclaimed a national scientist in the Philippines in June 2014.
What is Jose Hire Cruz Jr. in contribution of Science Technology Society and research? He has made major contribution to the theory and practice of automatic control. His work in the 1970s and 1980s on the control of leader-follower system and still considered of the major contribution of the half-century in the theory of hierarchical control system. Jose Bihar Cruz Jr. So, who is Jose Bihar Cruz Jr.? Jose B. Cruz has compiled an enviable record of accomplishment in engineering research and education. During his 27 years on the faculty of the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Illinois, he was one of the original founders of the Allerton Conference on Circuit Systems and Computers, served as Associate Director of the Coordinated Science Lab, and as Associate Head of the Department. He was Chair of the Department of Electrical and Computers Engineering at the University of California in Irvine from 1986 to 1990, and then served as Dean of Engineering at the Ohio State University. He retired from the deanship in 1997 and was awarded the first Winvigler Chair in Engineering.
Indigenous Knowledge System. Indigenous knowledge system is embedded in the daily life experiences of young children as they grow up. They live and grow in a society where the members of the community prominently practice indigenous knowledge. Their parents and other folks serve as their first teachers, and their methods of teaching are very effective in transmitting cultural knowledge in their minds. The lessons they learned are intimately interwoven with their culture and the environment. This lesson comprise of good values and life stories of people on their daily life struggles. Their views about nature and their reflections on their experiences on their experiences in daily life are evident in their stories, poems, and songs. Predicting weather conditions and season using knowledge in observing animals' behavior and celestial bodies, using herbal medicine, preserving foods, classifying plants and animals into families and groups based on cultural properties, preserving and selecting good seeds for planting, using indigenous technology in daily lives, building local irrigation system, classifying different types of soil for planting based on cultural properties. It also produced wines, juice from tropical fruits, and keeping the custom of growing plants and vegetables in the yard.
Hi, my name is Clara Cruz, and my topic is all about indigenous science. What is indigenous science? Indigenous science, the working definitions of indigenous science, is that the body of traditional, environmental, and cultural knowledge unique to a group of people, which has served to sustain that people through generations of living within a distinct bioregion. Indigenous science is a part of indigenous knowledge system practiced by different groups of people and early civilizations. Indigenous science uses science process skills such as observing, comparing, classifying, measuring, problem solving, inferring, communicating, and predicting. Indigenous science is composed of traditional knowledge, practiced and valued by people and communities such as ethnobiology, ethnomedicine, indigenous farming and methods, and folk astronomy. Indigenous science is also guided by culture and community values such as the following. First, the land is a source of life. It is a precious gift from the Creator. Second, the earth is revered as the mother of the earth. It is the origin of their identity as people. Third, all living and non-living things are interconnected and interdependent with each other. Fourth, human beings are stewards or trustees of the land and other natural resources. They have a responsibility to preserve it. And last, nature is a friend to human beings. It needs respect and proper care. These are the people who have different opinions about indigenous science. First, according to Kahete, indigenous science includes everything from metaphysics to philosophy and various practical technologies practiced by indigenous peoples, both past and present. Lacarino elaborated this idea by explaining that science is a part of culture, and how science is done largely depends on the cultural practices of the people. Bowie then explained that indigenous science knowledge has developed diverse content through the interplay between the society and the environment. CBC also pointed out that indigenous science provides the basic of astronomy, pharmacology, food technology, or metallurgy, which were derived from the traditional knowledge and practices. Development of knowledge through indigenous science is guided by spirituality, ethical relationship, mutualism, reciprocity, respect, restraint, a focus on harmony, and acknowledgement of interdependence. This knowledge is integrated with reference to a particular people or place towards the goal of sustainability and perpetuations of culturally distinct ways of life through generations. Indigenous science proceeds from a holistic, high context and relational worldview that includes all relational connections and interdependent dynamic balance. Its essential considerations and activity. And the role of indigenous science is to inform specific resource management and land care practices important for environmental health, for tribal and federal lands.
Hi everyone, my name is Sean A. Rodolfo. This is my topic, Concept Indigenous Science and Development Science and Technology. Science is a component, individual science is a part indigenous knowledge system practiced by a different group of people and community. There are three components and some component individual science. And the first one is individual science used as science. Process is skill to be able to observe, compare, the classify, measure, and problem solve, interpret and communicate, and predict. Then the second one is dangerous science and guided by culture and community values to be able to give reason behind what happening or happened, to give explanation or believe that own origin. That the third one is indigenous science and component of the traditional knowledge to be able to practice and value by people and communities such as animal biology and no medicine. In use farming method in the astronomy, instead a simple term is naturally exists developed by the modern science and technology. The concept serve as a framework developed in another understanding the indigenous science. That's all. Thank you.